Saturday of the 17th week in Ordinary Time.
A reading from the book of Leviticus. The Lord said to Moses on Mount Sinai, 7 weeks of years shall you count, 7 times 7 years, so that the 7 cycles amount to 49 years. Then, on the 10th day of the 7th month, let the trumpet resound. On this, the Day of Atonement, the trumpet blast shall re-echo throughout your land. This 50th year you shall make sacred by proclaiming liberty in the land for all its inhabitants. It shall be a jubilee for you, when every one of you shall return to his own property, every one to his own family estate. In this 50th year, your year of jubilee, you shall not sow, nor shall you reap the aftergrowth, or pick the grapes from the untrimmed vines. Since this is the Jubilee, which shall be sacred for you, you may not eat of its produce, except as taken directly from the field. In this year of Jubilee, then, every one of you shall return to his own property. Therefore, when you sell any land to your neighbor, or buy any from him, do not deal unfairly. On the basis of the number of years since the last Jubilee, shall you purchase the land from your neighbor, and so also, on the basis of the number of years for crops, shall he sell it to you. When the years are many, the price shall be so much the more. When the years are few, the price shall be so much the less. For it is really the number of crops that he sells you. Do not deal unfairly, then, but stand in fear of your God. I, the Lord, am your God. The word of the Lord.
The responsorial psalm. The response is, O God, let all the nations praise you. May God have pity on us and bless us. May he let his face shine upon us. So may your way be known upon earth, among all nations, your salvation. O God, let all the nations praise you. May the nations be glad and exult, because you rule the peoples in equity, the nations on the earth you guide. O God, let all the nations praise you. The earth has yielded its fruits. God, our God, has blessed us. May God bless us, and may all the ends of the earth fear him. O God, let all the nations praise you.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Herod the Tetrarch heard of the reputation of Jesus and said to his servants, This man is John the Baptist. He's been raised from the dead. That is why the mighty powers are at work in him. Now Herod had arrested John, bound him, and put him in prison on account of Herodias, the wife of his brother Philip. For John had said to him, It is not lawful for you to have her. Although he wanted to kill him, he feared the people, for they regarded him as a prophet. But at a birthday celebration for Herod, the daughter of Herodias performed a dance before the guests and delighted Herod so much that he swore to give her whatever she might ask for. Prompted by her mother, she said, Give me here on a platter the head of John the Baptist. The king was distressed, but because of his oaths and the guests who were present, he ordered that it be given, and he had John beheaded in the prison. His head was brought in on a platter and given to the girl, who took it to her mother. His disciples came and took away the corpse and buried him, and they went and told Jesus. The Gospel of the Lord.
Saturday of the 17th week in Ordinary Time. In today's passage, we hear about the Jubilee year. Now, every 7th year, the people of Israel would not plant crops, so that the land itself could take a rest. This was a very good agricultural plan, because it gave the land a year to recover its fertility. But that was not the purpose. The purpose was that as God took a rest on the 7th day, as the people were expected to take a rest on the 7th day, so the land should receive a rest every 7th year. You wouldn't plant crops. You could harvest if things grew of themselves, but you didn't plant crops, and you trusted in the providence of God. Well, every 7th year was a Jubilee year. And there's a big debate whether it was every 49th year or every 50th year. That's not that important. The idea was the Jubilee year was a year of addressing the injustice that has crept into the society of Israel. Debts were forgiven, land that had been bought was returned to its original owner, Israelite slaves were set free, all of these things, so that there was a social reaccounting, so that justice would reign in the land, so that mercy would live. We don't actually know whether the Israeli people actually practiced this Jubilee year. We don't have a lot of evidence of them practicing it too often, but it is prescribed. This is where our idea of the Jubilee year in the church comes from. So the Jubilee year should not just be a pilgrimage to a basilica or a church. It should also be a time of social justice, of letting the kingdom of God dawn upon the earth. The Gospel is from Matthew 14, 1-12. This is the narrative of how John the Baptist died. John the Baptist had been preaching against Herod because Herod had married Herodias, who was the divorced wife of Herod's brother Philip. John the Baptist preached against this because it was not allowed by Jewish law. Because John was preaching against Herod, Herod had him thrown in prison. But he didn't do any harm to him because he realized he was a prophet. As much as he hated what John was saying, he was fascinated by him. This came to an end when Herod threw a birthday party, and the daughter of Herodias, Salome, did a dance that enticed him. Herod foolishly promised up to half of his kingdom as a reward to this young girl, anything she wants. She asked for the head of John the Baptist on a platter, egged on by her mother, who hated John the Baptist. John the Baptist is martyred, his head is cut off, and we see here an example, first, of making foolish promises that we should never do, and second, of carrying through an evil act just because one's embarrassed to turn back from what one foolishly said. That Herod evaluated his pride as more important than the life of another man, and that should never happen. John the Baptist, therefore, is, in a sense, a martyr for standing up for what was right. That's something that we too should do, give witness to the truth, even if it costs us. Now, one last tidbit, the head of John the Baptist. There are two heads of John the Baptist in Rome alone, St. John Lateran Church and the Vatican. And one of our friars asked the tour guide, how can there be two heads? And his answer, oh, that's easy. This is his head when he was young, and that's his head when he was old. Since then, I've heard of another two heads, one in Istanbul at the Topkapi Palace, and one in Damascus at a shrine for the head of John the Baptist. A lot of these relics, you have to take them with a grain of salt. But if these things bring us to prayer, that's great. And may God bless us.